Hello Internet, I am on my way to my first drift event in the E46. We're street driving the car because I'm dumb. No, really, my truck and trailer got stolen a couple years ago. And when I got rid of my S14, trailer got stolen, then my truck got stolen. And yeah, things have been kind of on a downward slope in that regard. But I've had time, had a little money saved up, and decided to get back into drifting after a 2-year break. The S14, heinous overkill for just having fun. I didn't plan on doing any big competitions after my last Pro-Am. I just felt super burnt out on drifting, and I love that car. It's just so expensive to run. That car would go through 16 to 20 tires depending on how I was driving in one day at a grassroots event. And I'm hoping this isn't the case. I brought 4 tires for this car because that's all it can fit. And it only makes, I don't know, maybe 220, 230 wheel horsepower. So it should be a lot cheaper to run, relatively easy to work on still. That's the goal at least. I know people talk about the 330 Ci or E46 330 Ci is a great budget drift car. I think it's cheap to run, so yes, in that regard, it's affordable. But this car is super expensive to put together with nice parts. The maintenance that you have to do to get it back up to speed and keep it reliable, that's expensive. Just getting the intake manifold on, it's got an M50 intake manifold, that is super expensive. For regular people, it's super expensive. And then if you have to bring the car somewhere to get the subframe for reinforcements welded in, that is also costly. And you have to take the subframe all the way out. Some of the kits, you have to take the gas tank out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you have to do while you're in there. You don't want to do the job twice. I'm hoping I like it. I don't know how it's going to go. I haven't really drifted one of these before. At least not stock powered, and I have no testing or whatever going into this first drift event after 2 years being off. This car's done a couple donuts just to make sure it doesn't blow up, but yeah, I'm going into it a little cold. I'm a little anxious, and I'm also super excited to just be back behind the wheel and see my friends that I haven't seen in the past couple of years. The first round is in MSR Houston, and it's a 4-hour drive from Dallas. As you can see, there's a whole lot of nothing going on the road. I have to be on I-45 South for another, I don't know, 150, 160 miles. We're about halfway there now, so I want to get this drive over with. This car is comfortable enough, but I'm too old to be sitting in bucket seats for longer than I have to be.
It's actually day 2 that I'm recording this because day 1 yesterday was actually competition, and I had a lot of stuff to figure out. This car is actually pretty tricky to drive, very low power, which is different than I'm used to. I haven't driven a low power car in maybe like a decade. So we played with tire pressures, redid the shock settings. Luckily I'm on some field coilovers, and those feel awesome. That woke the car up big time. I have the rear tire pressure like 60 psi to get it to do anything. And it still bogs down, even though we have the M50 intake, but it's on the stock headers, so that's not helping me. And I'm mostly stock tuned. I didn't play with the torque tables, just the intake manifold volume. Otherwise, it looks pretty good and it's working pretty all right. I just got to figure out how I'm going to drive it and make it work for the line here. So, M50 intake, hot air intake filter. The stock one is cracked and I didn't feel like keeping it. Mostly stock engine, other than all the maintenance upgrades, maintenance and like oiling upgrades. Power steering cooler in the front. This is really important for these cars. Let's see, fuel coilovers we talked about. Circuit performance wheels. I love the way these look on here. Got my Ziknovas on the front. These are Hawk performance ceramic brakes, front and back. They actually work really good. And then as you can see, we got the Wisefab narrow kit. True coilover in the back with adjustable arms, upper and lower, all the bushings and sphericals, yada yada, subframe reinforcements. Really simple car, really expensive to do. Just this car, I think I spent 27K on it, which is a lot, but it needed a ton of maintenance and a lot of while you're in there upgrades. Here we have a brand new OMP Halo seat. This is one of my favorite models from them. Doesn't cost too much. This will go for about 750 bucks. FI compliant. Fire extinguisher, OMP wheel, Drift Tech handbrake, fixed floor mounts, and that is quite literally it for this car. There's some brass bushing upgrades for the pedals to make those feel a little more solid because the stock ones are crap. All in all, a really simple car. It's kind of exciting to drive. It transitions a lot faster than my S chassis did, which is funny because that car had big tire, which is super sticky, and a ton of power, which made it easy to drive. This runs out of wheel speed really bad, and I don't have any more tricks to try and make it feel better, and I can't put any more power in it. And the higher I put the tire pressure, the worse my tire wear is getting here. This tarmac is really gross, and I'm not getting the tire life that I'd like to, so I have to be really careful with that. Today we're gonna go get some laps and get more practice, so hopefully I don't make too much of a mess of it. I'd say that all in all, it was a pretty successful weekend. It was weird being down 100 horsepower on everybody almost. Even from the DE 350Zs, I was having a really hard time keeping this thing wound up and trying to keep proximity. It was really, really tricky. But the last time I drove this car this long was the day that I bought it, driving all the way from Houston back to Dallas. And now we've just done a track day, a trip down to Houston, two days up the track, and then the trip home, so I'm pretty happy. Good little car. I just wish it had more power.